My name is Natasha Coates and I'm an elite disability gymnast. I currently have 22 British titles and 43 British medals. I started gymnastics when I was 8 years old, just fell in love with it, loved being upside down, loved just throwing myself around, and didn't really take it seriously up until 2014 when I turned elite, because I developed a life-threatening condition that affected my ability to keep up with gymnastics. So I switched from mainstream gymnastics to disability gymnastics, and it's through disability gymnastics that I've just kind of fallen back in love with the sport again. It's my entire life. It's like eat, sleep, breathe gymnastics, and I think it's definitely the thing that's got me through all the tough times that my disability has thrown at me. I have a condition called mast cell activation syndrome, so it causes spontaneous life-threatening allergic reactions, and different issues such as like organ swelling and organs just not wanting to function how they're supposed to, which is quite inconvenient at times. And the way that the chemicals affect my brain when I exercise means I lose the feeling from elbows down and knees down. So like I'm stood on the super thin high beam, can't actually feel my feet. When I jump to catch the high bar, can't actually feel my hands grasp the bar. I can only feel like the pull down if I've caught the bar. The key word there is if I've caught the bar. But that's why we build up safely. We have it over the foam pits, we have all the mats in, we break down the skill to like the very, very, very beginning and build it back up. And so I'm confident and I kind of know where I'm supposed to be and what's happening with my body. So there's a lot of adapting in the sport for me, but having this condition, I think some people would see it as kind of like a death sentence, because, you know, the chances are I could have a reaction in 10 minutes time and just die. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen, or it's a bit of Russian roulette with life, really. But I don't see it as a death sentence. I see it more of like a life sentence. Like, it pushes me to live and to do things and to kind of be grateful for every little moment. I think it can get really stressful when you start thinking about being inclusive and worrying about upsetting people. It's, don't overthink it. You know, invite the athletes in, like, talk to them, because they live with it. So either them or their parents will be able to explain what they need best and how it can work best, and listen to them and work off that, rather than kind of set in, okay, we do this, this and this because I think that's what's best. It's each individual athlete and each individual person and parent will be able to explain how that person works best, and then by understanding them, you can then get the best out of them. So you can have set disability classes, you can mix them in with mainstream, because I train alongside mainstream girls. You know, these girls are doing skills that I could only dream of doing, but I'll have my own plan, I'll have my own program, my own setup. So when we're on vault, they're doing their vaults, I'm doing my vaults. They're on bars doing their skills, I'm on bars doing my skills. Yes, the skill level's very different, but I'm still having that experience of training with a group, training with other girls that get kind of what I'm doing, and we all support each other regardless of level. And I think when you get so focused on being inclusive, it can get a bit stressful. Just focus on the person, just focus on the individual person taking part in the sport, and kind of let them teach you. People are worried about upsetting them or saying the wrong thing, but just ask. Like, nobody's going to shout at you for not knowing, and you can't be expected to know, and the only way you're going to learn is by asking and finding out. Because I know that with my coach, when I moved, it was like a new experience for her. She'd not coached a disability gymnast. You know, I was kind of like, okay, this is how I work, and we kind of work together, and so she's learned a lot of things. So now I'll go to do something and she's like, oh, should I change this mat to a different colour because I know you find that easy? I'm like, ah, yes, brilliant, great idea.
My name's Katie Foster and I'm the head of Women's Artistic Gymnastics here at NUPS. You always have to find what's going to motivate a gymnast, and I think Natasha is such a driven individual and has challenges beyond what most gymnasts do within her training. So I think that's what keeps it exciting, that we have to be very creative in the way we work and find new and different ways to help her achieve what she wants to with the sport. Gymnastics is absolutely a sport that can and should be for anyone that wants to do it. With some fairly simple, kind of reasonable modifications to your training session, it truly can be an inclusive sport. And I think it just needs coaches and clubs to be a little bit open-minded about how they deliver training or what they do within their sessions to ensure that it can be accessible for anybody. And I think someone like Natasha proves that regardless of what your kind of restrictions or challenges are, there are ways that sessions can be modified to create an inclusive sport.
There's so much you can adapt, and I mean, I know gymnasts that struggle with vision on the trampoline had a light under the base of the trampoline, so they knew where the down was. So where they were upside down, they could see, okay, this bit's the ground, rather than trying to land upside down, etc. And like little things like that, like on floor, my coach will stand with a bright colour in the corner, so when I'm spinning, I can look at something a bit brighter, so I actually know where I'm going, rather than just turning and stepping out and hoping for the best and getting disorientated. So there's loads of little things that you just pick up from working with the athlete, because these are things that I've just learned from myself. We've randomly thought, oh, let's try this, and we're like, that works. Like, I have my toenails painted. for beam because the beam's kind of a nude colour. I'm very pale. Sometimes I can't tell where my foot is, and because I can't feel it, obviously I'm using sight. So if my toenails are painted, I can see that difference between where my toes are and a better idea of where the beam is. So it's things like that that you wouldn't think, like painting your nails makes you better at beam. Yeah, I think you've got to surround yourself with people that support you for being you, and I think that's really, really important both in and out of gymnastics.